Hello everyone, guys. So a bit introduction about myself first. I'm having an experience of 5 plus years and into endpoint security and security operations. So currently, I'm working with EcoJournal Insurance, which is a fintech company, and it has various products in the market, insurance products basically. So they are like auto insurance they are into, and health insurance and many other. And today, like I would like to first thank Nalin Dor and their members to give me a chance to speak about my personal experience into security domain and to share that with their community. And going forward, we'll be talking about the in this session we'll be talking about endpoint security and security operations, like how endpoint security evolved in the market in several years, and what are the basic endpoint security types, and how you can build your own security operations using few techniques and few methods. So that's how we are going to do. So agenda will be like what is endpoint security and its importance, types, and a new that is like the endpoint security next gen antivirus architecture we'll be going through, and then top endpoint security suits in the market that are like leaders as of now. Then coming to the security operations, how we can what is security operations and how we can build our own security operations. And at last, the tool which is used in security operations, that is security incident and event management, the architecture for that tool basically. So I hope everyone is aware what is endpoint security. Let's go in a bit detail and its evolution in the cyberspace. So endpoint security is an approach where you secure your endpoints such as laptops, desktop, or any devices from malicious actors. Okay, so what are the basic benefits of endpoint security? So in cyberspace, one is that you safeguard your devices from security threats. One is this benefit. The other one is it helps you to maintain your compliance standard for the organization, and also it helps you to maintain the regulatory compliance, which is as per the industry standards 95%. So what does this actually means is, so if a company is having 100 employees, so 100 machines are there, let's say, and out of those 100 machines, 95% of the machines should be endpoint compliant. So they should be fully protected with the endpoint security parameter. So that's what like endpoint security, and what is the industry standard is 95% we talk about. Then how endpoint security evolved in last few years is, yeah. So first in 1980s, we used to have traditional AVs, which actually work on signature-based detections, heuristic-based detections, and reputation-based detections, etc. Those were not that capable of detecting malicious actors and respond to those incidents very quickly. So we later evolved, and in later 2023, 2013, in the cyber industry came up with solutions like endpoint detection and response, where these solutions were providing some more insights to the malicious actors, how the incident happened, and what is the source and all those things. It started giving us some more information about those things. But the drawback over here in these solutions was, by the time they tell us about the incident and what is the source of that incident, by the time the damage has already happened. So now, seeing that drawback, the cyber security market has evolved one more solution, that is next gen antivirus. Now, what they are doing is they are coming up with the capabilities of machine learning, artificial intelligence, user behavior analytics. All these are added into the previous two categories of endpoint security. Okay, so coming forward, like, so now, like, what is the importance of endpoint security in an organization? Why do we need endpoint security in our organization? So one is dynamic workplace. So, like, why when we say dynamic workplace, every company is trying to go to BYOD, bring your own device. So when people say bring your own device, what does this actually mean? So with bring your own device, you are also bringing some threats to your organization infra as well. Why? If you are not protecting those devices of which are of users, then there can be threat to the data of the organization. There can be various other threats as well. Okay. Then coming to the next point, use of wireless devices like laptops, mobiles, tablets. So these devices can be connected to public Wi-Fi. So let's say if anybody is given a laptop, he's joining to public Wi-Fi which are vulnerable and having security threats, right? So there are chances that attackers can take like compromise those machines and take and use and like misuse the machines and take advantage of those security threats risk, right? So this is what the importance is. Then coming next to is like it protects against the malwares, ransomwares, and like fileless attacks, etc. So this is also like one of the important point where endpoint security comes into picture and helps to safeguard our machines from such like malwares and ransomwares. Then it helps into monitoring and termination of malicious process. Let's say if any malware is injected into your machine or is being downloaded or is being executed, so it helps in monitoring of all that picture of the incident through the console, and then termination of all those processes which has been ran by the malware or anything else, and is trying to affect your machine or is trying to spread into your environment. Those can be terminated from the backend and the console itself of the endpoint security tool.
Hey,
So
Aman.
this is
Yeah, sorry to
yes.
disturb you. Your screen is just stuck, I think.
Sorry.
We are just seeing your first PPT, first slide.
Now
Okay,
it is
just
visible at fourth.
Yeah, not visible at fourth.
give me a second. I'll just reshare. I don't want to.
Yeah.
So guys, can you see now?
Yes, now it's working.
Okay. So you should have told me in the initial stages only. Okay. So shall I start it again, or like how you guys want it? Like you can let me know.
You can start from here,
Okay.
I think.
So see, yeah. So endpoint security, like I told you, like it's basically an approach to safeguard your devices and the endpoints from various malware attacks or malicious softwares, and to safeguard this, we have endpoint security. We used to implement endpoint security into the machines. So how the evolution of endpoint security has came up in the cyberspace in several years is first in 1980s we used to have traditional AVs which used to work on signature based and heuristic based detections. They used to detect and then give us an alert on that basis. Then seeing the drawback, so the drawback here was that they used to work on a specific database, and only the known malwares can only be detected by those traditional AVs. Later in 2013, the cybersecurity space came up with a new technology, which was endpoint detection and response. So in this technology, what was the capabilities which were added to it was it gives more insights to your data. Like it gives more insight to your incident. It gives you the more clarity from where the incident has occurred and what was the impact, what were the processes ran into when that malicious file was executed, like those. So over here also there was a drawback when the EDR solutions was brought into the market. The drawback was that by the time they react to the incident, the damage to the machine was already happened. So to overcome this, in 2014, cyberspace came up with new technology which is called as next gen antivirus solutions. So in these, the capabilities which are included are like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and user behavior analytics and real-time sandboxing. So in adding these capabilities give us more insights and can help us to control the attacks at a very initial stage itself. So this is how the endpoint security has evolved in last few years, and it's a very great importance to us when we talk about the organizational security. So coming to the importance, why we need endpoint security in an organization. So first is dynamic workplace. So dynamic workplace, like bring your own device, is one of the concepts we are coming up with in the market as of now. Also, like various wireless devices, also we are coming up, right? So we are using laptops as of now. So dynamic workplace, like if a person is bringing their own machine to the organization, so there is a chance that he might be using some organizational data. He might need to have take remote of any critical servers, right? So all those things brings into this point of endpoint security, where we need to make sure that we are safeguarding the organizational stuff, and the device is protected from various malware attacks and infections. Okay. Then coming to the next is wireless devices. So when we talk about wireless devices, we can connect to public Wi-Fi networks as well, right? So people using mobile phones, tablets, or laptops. Usually, they try to connect to public Wi-Fi when they want to. They found that there is a public Wi-Fi, open Wi-Fi, and all those things. So these brings more security threats to these devices. So to safeguard against those security threats, this endpoint security also comes into picture. So this endpoint security helps us to safeguard these wireless devices against those threats as well. So next is protection against security threats like malwares, ransomwares, fileless attacks. So when we talk about new next-gen antivirus solutions, so they help us to safeguard our machines or the endpoints from ransomware or fileless attacks, malware solutions. Also, using the behavioral analysis of today's next-gen antivirus, they also help us to safeguard the machines from those attacks which are still not in the market, and seeing the behavior of the attack. They most of the time they try to safeguard the machines and the endpoints from those particular attacks as well. Okay. Then it helps us to give a picture of the it helps us to give a picture of the monitoring and determination of malicious process, if anything is running in your machines or the endpoints. So how this will be beneficial is, let's say if a infection is being injected, if a malicious file is being injected in your endpoint and it's running at the backend, and they have started some processes to run, so it blocks or terminates the processes, seeing the behavior of the file, and it tries to safeguard your machines from those particular security threats. Also, it helps to safeguard your data against the theft or loss, whichever it may be, and helps to maintain the integrity of the data as well. So what are the types of endpoint security we can implement when we talk about the endpoint security? So there can be antivirus solutions, endpoint detection and response, URL filtering, application controls we can implement, network access control we can implement, endpoint encryption. So if we go like one by one, like antivirus solutions, those are like next gen antivirus solutions we have talked about, and the endpoint detection response. So these are just a combination. The first 2 points are the combination of next gen antivirus solutions. Then these can also provide URL filtering. At the parameter of URL filtering, you can block some URLs which are malicious, and you are aware of it. So the people or the organization employers will not be able to reach out to those particular URLs. You can implement those particular parameters in your endpoint security infra. Then coming to the application control, let's say like you have specific applications which you don't want your organization to use, like your employees you don't want to use. So you can implement some controls over the application level as well. Let's say you want to block VPN for your users. So at that granular level, you can control and implement such solutions to safeguard your endpoints. Then network access control is basically to it's related to authorization and the authentication. Only those people who are authorized should access the particular documents, and nobody else should be able to access to maintain the integrity of the data. So that's what comes into the picture. Then endpoint encryption, here the picture comes like where you encrypt the hard drives of your machine, of your endpoints, and so to make sure that if anybody else, if there is a case of laptop theft or anything else, so the data which is present in the drive can be wiped out, or needs a particular key to decrypt it to access that particular data. Then browser isolation. In browser isolation, it actually isolates your browser from user internet local network, and helps to maintain the security of your machine. If any programs have been run, or while web browsing, if any files are being downloaded, so it helps to safeguard your machine in that aspect. Okay, then coming to what is how next gen antivirus and traditional antivirus are being helping us in the cyberspace. So if you see, next gen antivirus has more capabilities as compared to traditional antivirus. We'll go in the next slide to go with some differences between the two. So if you talk about traditional antivirus, they are just working on the basis of signature-based detections, heuristic-based, and reputation-based detections. But when we talk about next gen, they include the parameters of traditional, plus including the artificial intelligence, machine learning, and user behavior analytics as well. So it helps to next gen antivirus helps you to provide more security as compared to the traditional antivirus in the current scenarios of the cyberspace. So traditional is just giving you the basic level of protection for your endpoints. Like we say in today's world, like we say free antivirus, right? So it's just like the free antivirus that you have just implemented it for the sake of name that you have implemented antivirus. But when we talk about next gen antivirus, they give you an advanced level of protection to safeguard your machine from the cyber threats in the market. Then talking about the forensics, so in traditional antivirus, you just get a limited forensics regarding the incidents, whereas in next gen you get a detailed forensics about the incident, like how the incident happened, what all processes run, what all registry files were changed, and what is the source, and all those things you can get from next gen antivirus in the current scenarios. Then in traditional antivirus, like there were only limitation with auto remediation threads. So when we talk about auto remediation of threads, it's like let's say if any file is injected to your machine, so it's running some processes. So it can either be quarantined or it can either be blocked. So these are some limitations. Why we are saying as limitation is there are only specific actions which you can take while there is a threat found in your machine or an incident found in your machine. But when we talk about next gen antivirus, there are actions which you can implement at a granular level, like you can isolate the machine from the infrastructure. You can block the processes. You can block the attack. You can kill the process. You can terminate the process, whatever it is. So at a granular level, you can create some auto remedies actions for the threats in the next gen antivirus. And coming to the next is like the traditional antivirus just protects the threats which are known in the market, because like it works on the basis of the database which is present in their like platform on the signature base, like I've already mentioned. And whereas a next gen antivirus also provides you some level of protection against the zero-day threats, because it's working on the ML and AI functionalities, and also on the user behavior and analytics. Right? So if it sees that the behavior of the file is not good, it gives an alert or generates a alert for the SOC members, and they used to take action accordingly, or it can directly block the action of the file as well. So in traditional antivirus, it only like helps you to remove the basic threats like malware, trojans, or adware, spywares. Whereas next gen antivirus like help us to detect fileless attacks, supply chain attacks, and zero-day attacks, which is like including all the attacks which traditional antivirus also gives you. So this is one additional benefit when we talk about next gen antivirus in the market. So what is the architecture for next gen antivirus security, endpoint security? So how these next gen antivirus are helping us to safeguard our endpoints. So here is like, if you see, here is the sandboxing analyzer, which works on a regular basis, on a real time basis. If a threat is known, so if a threat is found, the file is being sent to the sandboxing, and it quickly checks for the behavior and does all its detections, and on that basis it triggers an alert to the endpoint console, basically endpoint security console. And after that, like, you can do your incident visualization, investigation, and response according to the incident, whatever it is. So that's how like it gives you a granular level of picture for your incident and for the threats which can hamper your organization's infra at a great extent. Then, so talking about speaking about this endpoint security suits. So these are few. This is like my personal view. To be honest, these are few top leaders in the market as of now, which are providing you next gen antivirus and can be of great help when you talk about endpoint security. So Cortex, like of Palo Alto, SentinelOne from the Microsoft side, Trend Micro. So these few are the security suits which provide like great extent of security to your endpoints. Coming to like Security Operations Center, what is Security Operations Center? So Security Operations Center is a centralized unit in which basically your IT team and security teams come together and helps to safeguard your organization from the technical point of view, and participate in the threat analysis and detection of your incidents, and take remediate actions on those particular incidents. So it helps you to safeguard your machines and your organization against various security threats in the market. So, talking about how security teams get help regard when there is a security operation in place, like how your security team gets benefit out of it. Uh, so you need to have an adaptive SIM architecture. So when I talk about adaptive SIM architecture, it means it should be compatible with taking like ingestion of logs from various end sources. uh, uh, there should not be some limitations. Let's say uh, some tools cannot log their logs to the same. So there comes a limitation where you will find that you are not able to uh, monitor, or you can say put some alerts on the logging of that particular end source. So that is one point. Then coming to the second is security analytics. So endpoints. The security operations help you to analyze your security alerts in a great detail over there, and on a real time basis you can analyze your incidents and alerts and take actions accordingly, whatever the incident type is. So this is of what it is of great help to us. Then helps to integrate with threat intelligence. When I say threat intelligence, where there are various open source threat intelligence. Also, most of the same tools are coming with their own threat intel as well as of now. So they help us to get information from various sources, like what the threat is all about and how the behavior of the threat is and all those things. And you can club all those things and prepare your own SOC report on that particular incident and take actions according to it. So it helps into those various categories, and according to that you can take the remediation actions. Then automate incident responses, as Divijay said in the previous session. We can automate a few actions on the basis of same or the SOC architecture, right? So that is what is in incident response. You can automate things. The tickets can be created automatically, and analysis can be done by the SOC analyst, and thereafter tickets can be created for the IT teams, and they can club together and coordinate with each other to take the remediation actions accordingly. So all those can be done. Then investigate and visualize threats and solutions. So like I said, same architecture is helps you to monitor your infra at a security infra on a real time basis, and that helps you to investigate your alerts and incidents, whatever it is, based on the conditions and rules you have applied in your SIM architecture. And it helps to safeguard your organizational infra to a very great extent, where you can minimize the risk of getting compromised or be attacked by any hackers or attackers. So what are the building blocks for security operations? So anybody can guess on that?
So basically, Mandeep's for the security building blocks, we should have a environment, the first architecture, from what are all the log sources, what are all the critical log sources components, and how we are going to get those logs alerts, and what are all the security devices like endpoint systems. Those things we should have building blocks in a secure SOC center.
That's nice. So your points are absolutely correct. But these are related to the steps while creating your security operations. But when we talk about building blocks, who are the main pillars of security operations is those are the process, people, and technology, PPT. So when we talk about that, you need people, you need SOC analysts to review and analyze your alerts. Then you have to have some processes in place where you undergo any security operations very effectively and efficiently. Then when we talk about technology, you should have some tools to deep dive into the alerts and the incidents to take care of the security infra of your environment. So that's all like regarding the building blocks of security operations. So they are basically the pillars. If you don't have any one of them, then I would like, this is my personal view, you would not have a great security operations team in your environment. You need to have all these in place to work in a very great manner. Then coming to the next, this is where like you mentioned your steps. This is like the point, steps to build your own security operations center. Now the points that you mentioned are like, you need to have a strategy, you need to have a plan how to implement your security operations center. Then you need to have a proper design for implementing a SOC solution, how the logs ingestion should be done, and all those aspects should be considered into those design, and what all the end sources will be there, what all policies, what all those should be there and created over there. Then you should have proper processes, procedures, and trainings for SOC analysts. So this helps the people to take actions according to the processes and procedures. So there should not be a gap between all those things. It helps to maintain the process in a very smooth manner, so that there is no chance of missing any step while reviewing or analyzing any alerts or incidents. Then you should have an environment where people should be skilled enough to entertain those alerts and incidents. When I say this, it doesn't mean that you should not have freshers into the SOC, but it should be considered that they should have a basic knowledge of security operations, and also like while giving trainings, they can come up and learn more things into the security domain as well, right? Then implement the solution. When we talk about implement the solution, so it's related to various tools like SIEM, EDR, or ticketing tools that needs to be implemented to take the security operations in a good flow of manner, and it helps to monitor your security infra on a real-time basis. Then end-to-end use cases. Like when we talk about end-to-end use cases, every business has their own use cases to implement, right? So there can be one company which has 10 use cases to monitor to, and there can be the second organization where they might have 50 use cases to monitor to, right? So it depends on organization to organization and their requirements, what they want to monitor and what they don't want to monitor. So those should be considered and should be placed very accurately over in the tools, and should be monitored on real-time basis. Then solutions should be maintained and evolved. So every time you need to make sure that it's not like when you learn, then you grow, right? This is the concept in security also. So if you just implement the solution, you implement the rules and leave it, your security will not get polished. You will not get skills into the security operations, right? So you need to make sure that your security operations is evolving. You are taking stuff from the cyberspace. What is the current security incidents happening in the cyberspace and all those stuff, and accumulate all those stuff and try to implement new things into your security operations. Coming to the next, like security incident event management architecture. So this is how the SIEM and the SOC architecture looks like. So there are like various end sources. If you see these are the end sources from various categories. It can be security devices, your firewalls, antivirus, IDS, IPS, etc. Then your network devices, routers, switches, VPN, etc. And servers, OS logs, web servers, application servers, then applications which are like native applications. So this is the data site where your data needs to be pushed or pulled towards the SIM tool, and where the real-time monitoring will be done. So collector is basically an agent which works on the type of like pull or push mechanism, and it takes logs from the end sources and delivers it to the SIM tool for like monitoring and reporting and dashboarding functions, all of that. And over here, like SOC team used to monitor all those things on a real time basis. They work into 24/7 shifts and keep on monitoring the stuff which is coming to the organization and can harm the organization in various aspects. So this is how the architecture looks like for the security incident event management SIM tool, and it's a very great help to security team when we talk about security operations. So that's all, guys, from my end. If you guys have any questions, just put it out.
Someone, I think we have one question. I think from Akash or Satyam.
Okay, just give me a second. Satyam, okay. Please be about fileless malware attacks. What tools and okay, so see, fileless malware attacks can be like your Mimikatz credential diggers. Those type of attacks can be your fileless attacks, where a script is run and tries to run few processes in your machine and tries to connect to some you can say the what do you say this the URLs or IPs and get the infected file into your machine and can harm into various aspects. Then Akash, what do you mean? So you mean to say protect against FUD? So sorry, can you just elaborate what is your like FUD, Akash? So fully undetectable, like when you say fully undetectable, are you referring to zero-day attacks or like or behavior-based attacks? How you're referring to? So see, malware. When you say fully undetectable malware, so that's what where the antivirus, next-gen antivirus come into place, and they keeps an eye on your activities of your endpoint. And when they found that there is a behavior of any file or any malware which is out of the threshold limits, right? So which should not be the actual processes should be run on the basis of the file. So that is where the next gen antivirus come into place and tries to block your files and give you alerting on those basis. In Palak, in SOC Center, we don't. So Palak, I would first like to answer your question which you asked during Divijay's session. Like since you are a beginner, I would just like to add to Divijay's points that see, it depends on you first, like where your interest is, where you want to go when you talk about security domain. So it's not like that security domain is just a normal thing. It has various subdomains into security, and you first need to know about your own interest, where your interest lies when you talk about security domain. So that needs to be first noted by you, and then once you are aware of that point, then you can go ahead with various aspects of security in which field you want to go. Then coming to your question, like you mentioned in SOC Center, we not get any threats then, so what benefit to company? So how can you be sure about that there will be no threats to the company? So we can see on the daily basis we are getting thousands and lakhs of alerts in the world regarding the cyber threats, and each one of each company is getting various alerts in the market right now. So that will be a wrong statement if you say that it will not be of benefit to the company. Uh, Even if there are no alerts coming to the SOC, then also you are getting a clear picture about your organization's security posture, like where what things are happening in your organization, how users are interacting with various things while browsing stuff or while interacting with various attachments or files or anything else. So that also needs to be kept into mind while implementing these security operations, and that statement would be wrong, what you have mentioned. So any other questions, guys? Like,
I think last question we have.
if I
Yayati.
have, okay. I'm pursuing BTech currently. If I want to step in the SOC position, is any certification needed? So Yeti, to be honest, I have never went for any certification, and I personally believe that certifications and are just a matter of like a document for us, like for from my personal view. But somehow it also has some drawbacks. Some organizations usually prefer to have some certification before they interview the candidates. So from my view, I would say that you should have skills instead of having certifications first. If you have skills, you can go ahead with the interviews and they will come to know that the person is having skills. They will not see that you have certification and they will clear you in the interview, right? So that is what my personal view is. If you have skills, just focus on the skills first and learn about security aspects, security basic concepts, and then move to the further step of certification. Don't just try to achieve certifications in the initial phase. That's my personal view.
Great.
Any Arpit, any questions left?
No, I think.
Okay.
Okay then. So guys, so thanks. So thank you all for joining this session. And if you have any doubts, any query, and any feedback, so you can mention in the group. Like we have provided the group link. So now all the questions will be answered in our group, like because we are crossing our time limit. So that's why. So thank you guys.